Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to lecture number 11 of irrigation engineering. As we are in chapter of storage headworks, means dams, and in previous lectures we have discussed a brief history of dams, and also different definitions of dams were introduced, and we have discussed the different uses of the storage headworks, that why we are constructing the dams, what are the purpose, okay, what objective will be achieved when we construct an obstruction, a barrier across a natural waterway. And also we have discussed the various components of the dam structure, okay, and the different types of the dams were discussed based on the uses, based on the hydraulic design, based on the material, based on size, and based on the storage capacity, that we have different types of the storage headworks. So that were the briefly that were introduced in the previous lecture number 10. And now in this lecture mainly we will discuss different types of forces, okay, which are acting on the dam structure. And see, this is most important, that whenever we are dealing with any types of the engineering structure, so first of all during the design, the most important step is to perform the stability analysis of that structure, okay, meaning to perform the stability analysis. See, that is most important, that before the construction of any structure, but specifically here we will discuss dams. So before the construction of dam in a specific site, first we will have to perform the stability analysis of the dam. Now what is mean by stability analysis? See, we actually two types of forces are acting on the dam structure, okay. For example, if that is the sea, that is the natural river, and here you are going to construct an obstruction, here you are going to construct a barrier. So first you will have some preliminary data, that how much water you will store here, what will be the type of the material from which you are constructing the dam structure, what will be its dimensions, okay. So now when the structure is constructed, so actually there are two types of forces which will be acting on the structure. One is called the stabilizing forces, and the second one is called the destabilizing forces, okay. Stabilizing forces, that is also called the positive forces, which is contributing into the safety of the structure, okay. And destabilizing forces are those forces which are contributing into the failure of the structure, okay. So before the construction, before the actual work, first we will have to find out that which type of force will act on the structure, mean which type of force will act, how much it will act, what will be its direction, and what will be its point of action, okay. Mean these are the four important points which will be the key objective of this lecture, that actually we will be interested to find out that which type of force is acting on the structure, okay. Either it is stabilizer force or destabilizer force, whatever, but first we will have to know about the kind of the force. Then we will have to find out its magnitude, that how much what will be the quantification of that force, okay. And third one, what will be the direction of that force, and fourth one, what will be the point of action of that force, okay. So see, actually then we are comparing the stabilizing forces and the destabilizing forces, that how much we will be sure that the structure will not fail, what will be the safety percentage, safety, how much will be how much we will sure that the structure will save, what will be the factor of safety, okay. So for that purpose actually we are dealing with this stabilizing and destabilizing forces, and that is also called the stability analysis, okay. That is later on next lecture we will discuss that how to perform the stability analysis, but first we have to know about the type of force, its magnitude, line of action, and point of action, okay. And see, these forces, basically these destabilizing forces can cause different types of the failure to the dam structure, For example, if the water pressure is more, then it can cause overturning of the structure, it can cause sliding of the structure. Also, due to other types of the destabilizing forces, the structure may collapse, or the settlement of the structure may occur, or the structure even maybe breaking will be occurred. Okay, so this overturning, sliding, collapsing, settlement and breaking, all of these are the different types of the failure which can be caused due to the destabilizing forces. So first we will have to, being an engineer, first we will have to know about the destabilizing forces, that what are that forces, what is the magnitude of that forces, okay, what is its direction, and what is the point of action. Okay, so okay, before starting the different types of forces, remember that the type of forces which we will discuss here in this lecture, that will be actually considered that the forces which are acting on the gravity dam, because the gravity dam is the most commonly used dam structure nowadays. Okay, and as we know that a gravity dam is a structure which is resisting the destabilizing forces by its own weight. Okay, see, if here, that is the dam structure which is constructed across the river. Okay, for example, that the water which is stored behind at the upstream phase, that is the reservoir, so it will act some pressure, that is the water pressure. Due to the seepage of water, some uplift pressure will be exerted on the structure. Due to the earthquake pressure, there will be either horizontal forces or vertical forces which will be act on the structure. Also, if the waves is generated on the surface of the reservoir, so there will be wave pressure, there will be wind pressure, there will be, you can say that, silt pressure. Okay, there will be tailwater pressure, there will be ice pressure. Okay, so all of these are called the destabilizing forces. Now a structure which resists, a structure which proportion all of these destabilizing forces by its own weight, that is called the gravity dam, which we have also discussed in the previous class. Okay, and this type of dam is the most permanent one, and which require little maintenance, and it is most commonly used structure nowadays. Okay, and see, the one of the in the history also we have discussed that the oldest dam which was constructed, that was the gravity dam. Okay, and a gravity dam is now maybe constructed either from, you can say that, from masonry material or from concrete material, because these type of material are more massive and have more weight. Okay, and nowadays with improved method of construction, quality control and curing, concrete is most commonly used for the construction of gravity dam. Okay, and if you see, for example, that is the river, so actually we are constructing the structure across the river in a straight line. Okay, in a straight plane, so that is also called the straight gravity dam. Okay, however, it may also be slightly curved in plane, but mostly that is straight gravity dam. Okay, and see, if that is constructed without any hollow structure, then it is called the solid gravity dam. Okay, mean to avoid the hollowness in the structure. Okay, now see, here in this lecture, the forces which we are discussing, that will be basically the forces which is acting on the concrete gravity dam, which is acting generally on the gravity dams. Okay, mean all of the destabilizing forces that will be resisted by the weight of the structure. Okay, so now let's discuss the different types of the forces which is acting on the dam structure. I mean, generally these are the types of forces which are acting on any type and any types of the dams. Okay, but specifically here we will focus the gravity dams. Now see, as we have discussed that to design a dam, various forces must be considered to ensure the safety of the dam. Okay, to ensure the stability of the dam, to ensure the durability of the dam, because if we not properly analyze the stabilizing and destabilizing forces, then there will be more chances to overturn the dam structure of sliding, collapsing, settlement and breaking. Okay, so to ensure the safety of the dam structure, first we will have to know about the forces, its quantification, its direction and its point of action. Okay, and the most important forces which are acting on the structure here, which is acting by the structure, so one of them is the weight of the dam. So see, weight of the dam, actually, for example, if these are the foundation, okay, see this is the upstream face, a little bit inclined, then we have the vertical portion, this is the crest level, this is the crest of the dam, okay, and the downstream side a little bit we have the vertical face, and then we have the inclined one. See, actually we are providing this inclination to increase the width of the structure at the bottom, mean to increase the width of the base. Okay, so this is called the body of dam. Now that will be constructed from some concrete material or from some masonry material, and it will have some pores. That is called the weight, and actually it will exert it, yeah, its direction will be towards the foundation, because the weight is actually acted by the gravitational forces. Okay, so it will act downward, its direction will be towards the foundation. Now see, a gravity dam is a massive structure, so it will have very high weight and it will be acted upon the foundation. So its requirement will be that the foundation will be more strong, hard and durable. Okay, because the whole weight of the structure will be acting on that foundation. So that is one of the force. Its direction is downward and its point of action will be center of gravity. Okay, mean this force will be acted on the center of gravity of the structure. Remember, actually we are interested to find out what type of force is acting on the structure, what is its magnitude, what is its direction, and what is its point of action. So the force is weight, its magnitude will be find it out in next slides, we will discuss in detail. Its direction is downward and the point of action is the center of gravity. And remember, this force is one of the main stabilizer force. Okay, mean it is the stabilizer force, because if the weight of the structure is more, it will resist the external forces efficiently and its stability will be more. Okay, so it is contributing to the stability of the structure. Okay, second one, the force, the main force which is acting on the structure is the water pressure. So see, if we just construct this obstruction and this barrier in a natural waterway, so the water will be ponded, an artificial lake will be formed at the upstream side, which is called the reservoir. So see, it will have some definite height. Okay, for example, that is the height of the water in the reservoir. So due to this standing water, it will exert some pressure on the structure, which is called the water pressure, and this is the major force acting on the dam. And see, it acts normal to the upstream face of the dam. See, that is the upstream face of the dam, and the water pressure is acting perpendicularly to that upstream face. And that is, remember, that is one of the major destabilizer force, because it is acting on this structure. It can cause overturning of this structure, it can cause failure of this structure. Okay, and also see, we know that the impact of that water pressure at the surface of the reservoir will be minimum, and it will be, see, for example, that is the height of the dam, and that impact will be increased as we are going towards the bed of the reservoir. So see, at the bed, this much water pressure will be acted, and that will be equal to gamma h. Gamma is unit weight of water, and h is the height of water in the reservoir. And at the top of the reservoir, there will be, see, h is 0, so the impact or the intensity of the water pressure will be also 0. Okay, see, that is the water pressure is one of the force which is acting on the structure. Its direction is perpendicular to the upstream face of the structure, and remember, its point of action is h by 3 from the bottom, mean 1/3 of the depth of the water. Okay, so at this much distance from the bed of the river, from the bottom of the reservoir, that will be the point of action. Point of action, direction, force, and its magnitude will be also discussed, that at point at this point how much force will be acted on this structure. Okay, so that is the water pressure. And remember also, if we have some water available at the downstream face, if we have some water at the tail portion, that is also called the tail water, so it will also exert some pressure on the structure. That is also a type of water pressure, but remember, its direction is opposite to the direction of the upstream water pressure. So it will balance some portion, yeah, it will resist some portion from the upstream water pressure. So the tail water pressure is an example of the stabilizer force. Okay, I mean it is acting in opposite direction of the upstream water pressure, and obviously the upstream water pressure will be very greater than the water pressure of the tailwater. So some portion of this upstream water pressure will be cancelled, and as a result its impact will be reduced on the structure. So that's why the tailwater is a type of the stabilizer pores. Okay, and also its magnitudes will be discussed in next slides. And then we have the uplift pressure. Okay, so see, if there is some pores, or if there is some fissures, or if there is some cracks, or if there is yes, there will be joint between the foundation and the structure, so obviously the water will be seep into the ground, and then as a result that seep water will apply some pressure on the base of the structure. Yeah, it will act some force on the structure, which is called the uplift pressure. Okay, and see, that uplift pressure will be against the weight of the structure. So that is a type of the destabilizer force. Mean it will act on the structure, and it will try to we can say that overturn the structure. Yeah, it will try to damage the structure. Okay, mean it will be exerted against the weight of the structure. Okay, so it is a type of the destabilizer force. Next one, we have the wave pressure. See, if we have a reservoir formed, so due to the heavy wind blowing on the surface of the reservoir, it may cause to generate the waves, and then that waves will act some pressure on the structure. That is called the wave pressure, and that is also a type of the destabilizer. Okay, most importantly, we have the earthquake forces. Okay, remember these will be considered when dam is constructed, when dam is to be constructed in a seismic region. Okay, see, when earthquake occurs, so actually it produces acceleration in the foundation. Okay, and due to that acceleration, the inertia will be produced in the dam structure and in the reservoir, and actually that too are the failover type, that too are the type of the failover forces. Okay, which will be acting on the structure, and it can also contribute to the destabilization of the structure. Okay, so these are also the type of the destabilizer force. And remember, earthquake can be occurred in any direction, but only here we are considering the horizontal acceleration produced in the foundation and the vertical acceleration produced in the foundation. Okay, so due to the horizontal acceleration produced in the foundation, horizontal inertia will be generated in the water body, in the dam body, and horizontal inertia will be generated in the reservoir, which is also called the hydrodynamic pressure. Okay, and due to the vertical forces, there will be increase or decrease will be occur in the weight of the structure and the weight of the reservoir. Okay, so these are also a type of the negative impacts on the structure. Also, we have the ice pressure. So see, if the dam is to be constructed in a very cool countries or at a higher elevation, so then there will be possibility that the reservoir water may freeze down. Okay, so due to a freezing of that water, an expansion will be occurred, and that due to that expansion some forces will be acted on the structure. Okay, so that is called the ice pressure, and that is also a type of the destabilization, because it will act on the structure in the direction of the we can say in the direction of the water. Okay, then we have the silt pressure. Remember, for example, if there is some silt particle or sediment particle coming with the water to the reservoir, so in the reservoir here we know that the velocity will be reduced and the sediments particle will try to settle down. Okay, so here a type of layer will be formed of that sediments, of that silts, and actually that deposited silts will act some pressure on the structure, which is called the silt pressure, and that is also an example of the destabilizer force. Okay, then we have the wind pressure. Again, that is very small and is usually ignored in design of dam, but it will be considered in such a locality where we have high speed of the where there is possibility of the occurrence of the very high speed winds. Okay, so see, this is the general classifications. Here you can see that weight of the structure and tailwater, these two are contributing to the stability of the dam. Okay, mean these two are actually resisting the main destabilizer pores. So these two are called the stabilizing pores. And the rest one, the water pressure, the uplift pressure, ice pressure, silt pressure, wind pressure, wave pressure, earthquake forces. Okay, and also the temperature stresses, mean for example if in an area we have very high, for example, variation between the maximum temperature and minimum temperature, yeah, if if there is a very rapid change between the maximum and minimum temperature, then it can cause some damage to the construction material. Okay, it can also cause some it can also affect the stresses of the materials from which the dam is constructed. So these are all of the destabilizing forces which can cause failure to the structure, mean in term of overturning, in term of sliding, in term of collapsing, in term of settlement, and in term of breaking. Okay, so now let's discuss one by one. Okay, also before discussing the forces, this is also one of the important diagram which is representing different types of the forces. Okay, its position and direction. So see, actually we will have two types of force. Either the force will be vertical or it will be horizontal. Okay, so the most importantly vertical force is the weight of the structure, V1. So here you can see that this V1 is actually representing the weight of the structure, and see it is acting downward. Okay, and it is completely vertical, as direction is towards the foundation. Second one is the gravity acting on mass of water on the upstream side. See, we have two types of the dams. Either its upstream pace will be completely vertical, okay, or sometime to increase the width of the bottom of the dam structure, the upstream pace is a little bit inclined, mean a little bit slanting portion is provided to the upstream pace. Okay, so see, when there is some inclination, yeah, when there is a sliding edge at the upstream pace, then the water at the upstream pace, it will exert some weight on that inclined portion, mean it will exert some vertical pressure on that inclined portion. Okay, so that is V2. Here you can see that represented by V2, and again it will X downward. V3, that is the main destabilizing force, which is the uplift force, uplift pressure. See, and it will act on the base of the dam structure and in upward direction, and again it is vertical. V4, that is the inertial force due to produced due to the earthquake. Here you can see that V4. And see, when vertical earthquake occur, so it will produce vertical acceleration in the foundation, and it may be either in upward direction, either in downward direction. So here you can see that V4 is in both direction. Okay, then the horizontal forces, the main one is the hydrostatic pressure on upstream pace. Mean, see, when we construct such type of reservoir, such type of restriction, so a reservoir will be formed at the upstream pace, and this stored water will exert some pressure on this structure, which is called the hydrostatic pressure. Okay, and see, it will be perpendicular to the upstream pace. Okay, and for example, if there is some inclined portion, so then it will have two components. One is that horizontal one, and second one is that vertical one. And for example, if the upstream pace is completely vertical, then we have only one component, horizontal component, and this this portion, this the white triangular shape, that is the pressure distribution diagram of the hydrostatic pressure. Okay, H2, that is the inertial force of the water due to the earthquake, earthquake. See, as we have discussed that, for example, if the vertical earthquake occur, horizontal earthquake occur, so it will produce horizontal acceleration in the foundation. Now the foundation will try to move the dam structure and the reservoir, but remember, reservoir and dam structure is a type of type of external bodies. Mean, these are external bodies with respect to the foundation. So when the horizontal acceleration occurred in the foundation, it will try to move the dam and water bodies with themselves. Okay, but these two are the external bodies, they will try to keep themselves in rest. Okay, so inertia will be generated in the dam body and reservoir. Okay, so this H6, that is the inertia which is generated in the dam body due to the horizontal acceleration in the foundation produced by the earthquake. And again here you can see that it will be in both direction, either to the right or to the left direction. And similarly, the inertia which is generated in the reservoir due to the horizontal acceleration in foundation, that is called the that is also called the hydrodynamic pressure. Remember, that is called the hydrodynamic pressure, and it will act in the direction of the hydrostatic water pressure, mean perpendicular to the upstream pace of the reservoir. And here you can see that is its pressure distribution diagram, that at the surface of the reservoir that hydrodynamic pressure will be minimum, approximately 0, and at the base at the bottom of the river that will be maximum, and its variation is parabolic. Okay, so that is the inertial forces of water due to the earthquake, and these are the inertial forces of the dam due to earthquake. Okay, H3, that is the excess fluid pressure due to silt. See, when the silt is deposited, so it can also exert some horizontal force on the structure, which is called the silt pressure, and again this direction will be along the hydrostatic water pressure. Remember, hydrostatic water pressure is the main reference pressure with respect to which the direction of the other forces will be compared. Okay, so the direction of the silt pressure is parallel to the direction of the hydrostatic pressure. H4, that is the impact of waves. See, for example, if the waves is produced on the surface of the reservoir, so it will also act some pressure on the reservoir. Okay, and H5, this is, as we have also discussed in the previous slide, that is the pressure exerted by the tailwater. I mean, for example, if there is some water available at the downstream portion, which is called the tailwater, so it will also exert some pressure on the structure, but remember, it will be in opposite direction of the hydrostatic pressure. Okay, and that H6 is the inertial forces generated in the dam body due to the horizontal acceleration in foundation. Okay, and that acceleration in the foundation will be produced due to the earthquake. So these are the different types of the forces, mean the position and direction. And remember, the temperature stresses, the wind pressure, and the ice pressure, these are mostly uncommon in Pakistani context, and therefore its representation is omitted at this level. Okay, mostly in Pakistan, the dams which are constructed, they are not affected by the ice pressure and not too much by the wind pressure or temperature stresses, so its representation and direction is omitted at this level. Okay, but it will depend on the locality, it will depend on the area where you are constructing the dam structures. Okay, so then either it will be considered or it will be omitted if its impact is less. Okay, now let's discuss one by one. So first one is the water pressure. Okay, so water pressure is the major force acting on the dam, and remember, it acts normal to the upstream pace of the dam. Okay, I mean, this is the major external force which is acting on the dam structure. And see, for example, if these are the foundation, this is the obstruction which suppose we have constructed, and for example its upstream pace is completely vertical. So see, suppose that is the reservoir which is formed at the upstream face, the upstream side of the river. So due to this standing water, due to this reservoir, it will exert some pressure on the structure which is called the water pressure, and see, that will be perpendicular, that will be normal to the upstream pace. And see, when the upstream pace of the dam is vertical, the water pressure will completely act horizontally. Okay, and see, the intensity of pressure will be varies triangularly from the surface of reservoir to the base of the structure, to the bed of the river, and here it will be 0, and at this point that will be gamma h, mean that will be maximum, where h is the height of water in the reservoir, and gamma is the unit weight of the water. Okay, now see, when the upstream pace is a little bit inclined, okay, mean when the upstream pace is partly vertical and partly, we can say that if that is partly vertical and partly inclined. Okay, see, that is the dam structure, this is the downstream portion. Okay, this is the upstream portion, this is the foundation. So see, the upstream phase is partly vertical and partly inclined. Okay, so then the resultant water pressure can be resolved into two components, mean the horizontal component. Here you can see that the horizontal component and the vertical component. Okay, now the horizontal component, but see, remember, if the upstream phase is completely vertical, then we will have only horizontal component of the water pressure, and if the upstream phase is partly vertical and partly inclined, then we will have two components of the water pressure. One will be the horizontal component and second one will be the vertical component. Okay, and the horizontal component, if it is completely horizontal, it will be equal to 1/2 unit weight of water multiplied by h square. Okay, where h is again the height of water in the reservoir, and see, it will act perpendicularly to the upstream phase, and its point of action will be equal to h by 3, mean from the 1/3 of the height of the water in the reservoir from the base, mean from the base at a distance of 1/3 of the height of the water. That will be the point of action of the water pressure. Okay, and also one point more, most importantly, see, 1/2 that is constant, that is gamma, that is the unit weight of the water. So for example, it is in pound per cubic feet, or it is in Newton per cubic meter, and h is the linear unit, so either it will be square feet or it will be square meter. Okay, in square meter, so you will get the unit in term of pound per feet. Now remember, that is the pressure exerted by the water on 1 unit length of this structure. Remember, for example, if we consider 1 meter, okay, if we consider 1 meter length of this structure, for example, see, the total length of the structure is L. Okay, see, that is the obstruction which you are constructing across the river. Suppose its total length is L. Now the water pressure acted on 1 unit length, mean 1 meter or 1 feet, that will be this one. Okay, that is the water pressure acted on unit length, mean you will get the unit in term of pound per feet. That is the force acting on 1 unit length. And if you know the total length of this structure across the river, so just multiply it with that length, so you will get the total force acted by the water on the dam structure. Okay, so that will be the horizontal component. And see, if the dam is, as we have discussed, partly vertical and partly inclined, and we will have also the vertical component. So the vertical component will be equal to weight of water contained by that column, mean the weight of the water present in column A, B, C, D, A. Okay, mean weight of the water present in this column, that will be actually the vertical component of the water pressure acting on the this inclined portion. And remember, it will act on again on center of gravity of this area. Remember, 4 points is important. What is the type of force, what is its magnitude, what is its direction, what is its point of action. Okay, so water pressure, again, if the upstream phase is completely vertical, then you will have only horizontal component of the water pressure. It will be acting perpendicularly towards the upstream phase of the structure, and its magnitude will be this one. Its point of action will be 1/3 from the base. Okay, and if the upstream phase is partly vertical and partly inclined, then we will have the two component of the water pressure. One is the horizontal component, second one is the vertical component. Okay, the horizontal component is this one. Again, it will be perpendicular to the upstream phase and at a distance of h by 3. Okay, and the vertical component will be equal to the weight of the water present in this column, and it will act downward, mean it will be parallel to the direction of the weight of the structure, and it will act at the center of gravity, and its magnitude will be equal to unit weight of water multiplied by volume of water at that column divided by height of water. Okay, mean gamma V divided by h. And again, from here you will get the vertical water pressure in term of the pound per feet. Okay, mean see, the pressure acted on the unit length of the structure. Okay, and remember, similar concept will be applied to the downstream water. Mean if there is tail water, if there is downstream water, so see, for example, if the height of the tail water is h dash, so it will also exert some pressure on the structure. And remember, the downstream face is inclined, so again it will have one horizontal component and one vertical component, and the horizontal component will be equal to 1/2 unit weight of water multiplied by h dash square. H dash is the height of the water at the downstream. Okay, and again its point of action will be that 1/3 from the base, 1/3 of the height of the water at the tail from the base. Okay, and the vertical component will be equal to unit weight of water, volume of water contained in that portion, and divide by h dash. Okay, so that will be the vertical and horizontal component of the tail water. Means similar concept will be applied, and also we will have the similar concept of the distribution, that the tail water intensity of the tail water will be we can say that effect on the structure triangularly, that at the top surface it will be 0, at the base it will be maximum. Okay, so that is the water pressure. Okay, second one, that is the weight of the dam. Okay, mean the most important force which is acting by the structure on the foundation, and that is one of the, we can say that one of the stabilizer force, and it play an important role in the stability. Means the total weight of the dam will act at the center of gravity, mean that is the point of action. Okay, for example, we have this structure, so its weight will act downward and it will act at the center of gravity. Okay, and it is one of the major contributor to the stability. Mean the weight of the force is major resisting force in term of, mean it is mean this force is resisting the destabilizer forces. Okay, and for analysis purposes, generally again the unit length of the dam will be considered. For example, if that is the total length across the river, okay, so 1 unit length will be considered, either 1 feet or 1 meter length will be considered, and we will determine the weight of this unit length. Okay, and if you are interested to find out the total length of the dam structure, then it will be multiplied with the total length of the structure. Okay, so for analysis purposes, generally unit length of the dam will be considered. Okay, and see the cross section of the dam. Here you can see that, for example, here we will have 3 portions. The upstream face is also inclined. Okay, see, let me clear this thing. Here you can see that the upstream face is also inclined, so we have one this portion. The downstream portion is also inclined, so we have one this one, and it is, mean these two are type of the triangular shapes, and it is a type of rectangular shape. So see, first we will have to find out the weight of this portion, then we will have to find out the weight of this portion, then we will have to find out the weight of this portion. Okay, so see, if we consider 1 unit length, mean 1 meter length or 1 feet length, so see, for example, the area of this portion is A1 multiplied by 1 is the length. Okay, so 1 meter length and the area, we will get what? Volume of this portion. Okay, multiply by, now see, V1 multiplied by unit weight of the material, so we will get weight of this portion. Weight of, mean weight of 1 unit length of this portion. Similarly, now second one, see, that is a type of triangular shape, so the crest width multiplied by height, that will be what? That will be area. Okay, now multiply it by 1, which is the unit length, so that will be V2. Now V2 multiplied by the unit weight of the material, so we will get the weight of that portion of unit length. Okay, now see the third one, that is also a type of the triangular shape, so we can find the its area, that is 1/2 base multiplied by height, so the area of this portion multiplied by unit length, we will get what? V3, mean volume of the unit length of this portion. Okay, so V3 multiplied by the unit weight of the material, so we will get the weight of that portion. Okay, now W1 plus W2 plus the W3, we will get what? Weight of the unit length of this portion. mean weight of the unit length. Now if we know about the total length of the section, the structure, okay, that is 1 meter, 2 meter, 3 meter, suppose that is L meter, so just multiply it by L, so you will get the total weight of the dam structure. Okay, and see, that is one of the major resisting force which is acting downward, and its point of action will be center of gravity. Okay, the third one and most important force which is acting on the structure, that is the uplift pressure. Okay, see, for example, again, if this is the foundation, and here suppose we have constructed a barrier or a structure, okay, so the water will be stored in this upstream portion. Now see, the water has a tendency to seep through the pores and fissures or cracks. Okay, yeah, it also seeps through the joints between the body of the dam and foundation. I mean, for example, if there is some pores points, if there is some fissures, or if there is some cracks, or if there is joint between the structure and the foundation, so the water from this reservoir will try to seep into the ground. Okay, now the seeping water will exert pressure, and that will be also accounted in the stability analysis, and that pressure which is exerted by the seep water, that is called the uplift pressure. Yeah, the uplift pressure can also be defined as the upward pressure which is exerted, meaning upward direction, when the water is flowing in the foundation, yeah, even when the water is flowing in the structure. Okay, yeah, when the water is we can say that seeped into the ground, and okay, so, and it is flowing in the foundation or in the structure, so it will act some pressure in the upward direction, which is called the uplift pressure. Okay, and a portion of the weight of the dam will support that upward pressure. Yeah, means some portion of the weight of the dam will resist that uplift pressure, because if the uplift pressure is more than the weight of the structure, then obviously the structure will overturn, or the structure will be failed. Okay, so some portion of the weight will resist that uplift pressure. Okay, now the question is that the uplift pressure will be exerted on how much area. Okay, yeah, the area over which the uplift pressure act has been a question of investigation, and there are two schools of thoughts exist in the literature. See, one concept is this one, that the uplift pressure is acting at a 1/3 to 2/3 of the base area. Okay, mean one concept recommend that a value of 1/3 to 2/3 of the area should be considered as an effective area over which the uplift force will act. Okay, mean only 1/3 to 2/3 of the area will be considered. And second concept is according to the Terzavi, which is the founder of the soil mechanics. Okay, he recommend that the effective area may be taken approximately equal to the total area. Mean it will be approximately taken to the total area. Mean second concept is that the total area will be taken as an effective area over which the uplift force acts. Okay, and the present practice in the design, they are following the USBR recommendation, mean United States Bureau of Reclamation. Okay, its recommendation are used nowadays for the designing purposes, that the total area should be considered as an effective area. Okay, to account for the uplift pressure. And again, the concept is that, see, if this is the dam structure, so this is called the upstream side and this is called the downstream side. Okay, that is the heel point and this one is the toe point. Okay, so according to USBR recommendation, they suggest that the adoption of the uplift pressure intensities is equal to the hydrostatic pressure. I mean that is also one of the point. Okay, see that how much will be the we can say that how much will be the uplift pressure at this heel point. So that will be equal to the hydrostatic pressure, and what is the hydrostatic pressure at this point? That is gamma h. So according to USBR, they say that the intensity at the heel point of the uplift pressure will be equal to gamma h. Okay, and the intensity at the toe point, now see, that will depend on the tailwater. Remember, this point is most important, that see, if there is no tailwater, so what will be the we will say that there will be no tailwater, mean the depth will be 0. So the impact of the uplift pressure will be gamma h is equal to h is 0, so it will be 0, so that will be 0. So now see, that will be the intensity distribution. It will be triangular. Okay, and see, for example, if this is the foundation, this is the upstream face of the reservoir. Okay, so see, at the upstream side, for example, the depth of the water is, suppose that is h. Okay, and see, at the, suppose if there is some tailwater and its height is, its depth is, for example, h dash. So now according to USBR, the intensity at the heel point will be equal to the hydrostatic pressure at the upstream side, and the intensity of uplift pressure at the toe point will be equal to the hydrostatic pressure of water at the tail, that is gamma h dash. Okay, and see, then it will be the diagram, then it will be like this one. That is according to USBR. Okay, and sometime, remember, sometime the drainage galleries are provided in the dam body, which releases the uplift pressure. Okay, mean if the galleries are provided in the dam body, it will release the uplift pressure which is belting under it. So the magnitude of the uplift pressure recommended at the base of the gallery, now then it will be equal to, at that point the uplift pressure will be equal to gamma, mean unit weight of water, that is h dash plus 1/3 h minus h dash, where h is the height of the water at the upstream side and h dash is the height of the water at the downstream side, mean that is the tailwater depth and that is the reservoir upstream water depth. Okay, then it will be like this one, remember. Okay, mean if the galleries are provided in the dam body, then the diagram will be like this one. See, that is the water pressure. Remember, this line that is actually representing the magnitude of the uplift pressure at the heel point, and this line is representing the magnitude of the uplift pressure at the toe point. Okay, so under the gallery, then the magnitude of the we can say that of the uplift pressure will be this one, and it will be equal to gamma h dash, gamma into h dash plus 1/3 h minus h dash. Okay, so then the diagram will be like this one. This is called then the uplift pressure distribution diagram. Okay, and most importantly, its point of action is b/3 from the heel point, where b is the total width of the base, that is the total width of the base. Okay, so at this much distance from the heel point, it will be the point of action. I mean the point of action of the water pressure will be 1/3 of the base width. Is it clear? So see, again, if there is some pores or if there is some fissures or cracks or joints between the body and the foundation, so the water will seep from the reservoir, and as a result it will act some uplift pressure. Now that uplift pressure the question is that it will act on how much area. So there are two concepts. One concept say that the uplift pressure is exerted, is the uplift pressure is effective on 1/3 to 2/3 of the area. Okay, and the new concept, the Terzaghi concept, is that the uplift pressure is acting on the total area, but its intensity is different. So based on the Terzaghi principle, the United States Bureau of Reclamation has recommended that the uplift pressure at the heel point will be equal to the hydrostatic pressure of the upstream water, and the uplift pressure at the toe point will be equal to the hydrostatic pressure at the toe point. So if we have no tailwater, so then the uplet pressure at the toe point will be 0, and if there is tailwater, then we will have some uplet pressure, and the uplet pressure at the gallery will be equal to this one. Okay, so see, intensity of the uplet pressure at the heel will be 100%, at the gallery it is reduced approximately to 50%, and if there is no tailwater, then the intensity of the uplet pressure at the toe will be 0%. Okay, and with tailwater, uplet pressure will depend on the height. Okay, so that is just the general concept. Now see, if we just formalize it, that what will be the average uplet pressure which is acting on the dam. So that is 1/2 unit weight of the water, height of the water at the reservoir. Okay, and B is the base weight. Okay, so that is just a general formula for the determination of the uplet pressure, and its point of action will be 1/3 of the base weight. Mean that will be the point of action. Its direction will be upward, magnitude will be this one, and the type of force is the uplift force. Okay, and that is the upward pressure which is exerted by the water. It seeps through the body of the dam or the foundation. Okay, mean if there is the water seeping in the body, flowing in the body or in the foundation, then it will exert some uplet pressure, and that is its distribution diagram. Mean that is the intensity of the uplet pressure at the heel point, that is the intensity of the uplet pressure at the toe point, and the line is representing the magnitude. Okay, and this is the intensity of the uplet pressure at this point. Okay, and C its direction is upward, and the point of action will be B/3. Okay, so these are the main types of this one is also main type of the destabilizer force. Okay, so in this first part of the lecture, we have discussed we have just briefly introduced all types of the forces, and then we have discussed the weight of the dam, water pressure, and uplift pressure. Okay, the lecture is continued, and the rest of the pressures which are acting on the dam structures are discussed in the second part of this lecture.